Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Unpacking Possibility. I'm your host, Traci Stein, and as always, I am so happy to be here with you. Today's topic is one that's going to make probably a lot of you uncomfortable. And actually, that's completely fine. That's probably a sign that we need to be talking about it, right? But I promise you, by the end of this episode, you're going to feel a whole lot better and have tools at your disposal that can help you do better too. So without further ado, today's topic is how to deal with the haters in a spiritually and psychologically informed way, and how to stop being a hater if that's you, right? And probably most of us have been a hater at some point. I know some of you have been probably spending a little too much time hating on other people who are maybe doing something that you secretly wish you were. It's human nature. But if you're doing things and you feel like, oh, I was hoping my friends or family or my colleagues would be so happy for me. And, maybe there's someone who just can't go there for you. I want you to know that again, it's part of the human condition. And I think we've all been there. But again, some people default to that kind of defense, right? Of, oh, I can't, that person really is whatever. Well, we just can't be happy for them because maybe secretly we wish we were doing what they were doing. All right. So I think what you're already picking up on is that the whole hating thing, most of the time, comes from a place of lack, right? We feel that we lack something or something's not available to us, and somebody else has achieved something or received something. And it can be in any area of life, but we can feel, like it discharges some energy, or it feels kind of good to be like, well, it really wasn't that good, or I wouldn't want that anyway, or they really aren't that great, or whatever. I'm going to give you some everyday examples, but if any of this resonates with you, please make sure to comment. Let me know what you think. So I'm going to start with, what if you were the person who has had something good happen to you and you feel like, oh, there's this good friend or this colleague or this family member. And when I shared my great news, either they didn't respond at all, maybe it's in an email or a post, or they just seemed kind of like, or they kind of ignored it, or worse, maybe kind of downplayed it. Sometimes we couch our criticism of others in jokes, but usually the feeling is pretty clear. If somebody really wants you to feel kind of bad, or they want to kind of deflate the balloon and so forth. So maybe you got a promotion at work or a new job, or maybe you got a raise, or maybe you created something that was important to you. I don't know, an art project, or you wrote something, or you created some music, or whatever it is. Or maybe an opportunity came along that you were not even sure you would get, and now you're thrilled. All right, you see what I'm going for. Maybe you are in a new relationship, or your current relationship wasn't going well and now it's going really well. Or maybe you're expecting a child, right? These are all things that can really be triggering for other people. Maybe your child is doing really well. They're doing well in school or in sports and so forth. And, you know, it can feel really terrible when somebody isn't supportive of you. I'm going to give you a personal example, but I'm sure you can think of plenty of things yourself. So, years ago now, I wrote a book, and it's not one that you're going to see on every bookstore shelves. It was a book on integrative pain management. It won 2 awards, and I really wrote it because I wanted people to have a kind of manual for managing pain better. Right. And I don't think of myself as a terribly braggy person, but I had a few people close to me that I was like, yeah, like, I can't believe I got this opportunity. It's really exciting. And my book's coming out in October. And there were a range of responses from the non-response to your email, to that's great, to, oh, I'm going to buy the book to support you, and so forth. And one friend in particular who actually has written a number of books himself and whose, work I very publicly supported, um, said nothing. And it was the strangest thing because I kept thinking at the time, this is a while ago, "Ah, does he hate the book?" And honestly, I went over to his house one day and I saw the book on his desk. And he acknowledged that it was there and then didn't say anything else. Now, I want you to know that somebody supporting you doesn't mean that they love everything you do. And it could have just been being happy for me, like, you know what? I'm so happy for you that you finished this book. Or I hope your book is helpful to a lot of people. But it was the glaring silence around the book and how the book was received that, felt so wounding. And I had to ask myself, why does this hurt my feelings so much? It's like, okay, because I love this person and I value their opinion. And I've been very actively supportive of them. And it wasn't like at the time, I didn't feel like I needed them to like the book or think it was well written. And there are lots of things that you can say that are supportive of somebody's efforts or loving in some way, even if you can't stand or aren't remotely interested in the thing they actually achieved, right? If somebody gets a promotion at work and you're not even really in the same field, it might not you might not feel like, oh, that's amazing, but you might still be like, I am so happy for you. I'm so happy for your happiness. And I think because this was somebody I felt close to, I was surprised and hurt by what I felt like was the inability to just be happy for my happiness. Right. And you've probably had things like that that have happened to you. Now, knowing what I know, I understand more about why this person cannot be happy for most people. And when I think about it, I've never actually heard him say something where he was happy for really anybody. And remembering that helped me to not feel so hurt by that. But a spiritually and psychologically informed perspective here could just be that everyone's entitled to their feelings. Sometimes what we do will generate all kinds of feelings in other people, and we'll probably never fully be privy to what those are or the whys behind them. Sometimes we will. Very often, people are unaware of what's generating those feelings in the moment, right? And they might become more aware of them years later. And I'm going to give you an example where I was a little bit of the hater because I want to be balanced here. So I'm going to say, you know, my husband and I were in our early 20s, I think, and we had friends who were both very successful, and it was like success after success after success. So on the one hand, I think we just assumed that they would always be wildly successful. So it didn't even seem to make a big impact on us after a while. But we were both in jobs that we didn't love. We weren't making a lot of money. And the friends visited and wanted a big group of us to go to what for us at the time was a really expensive restaurant. And when the bill came, I remember we kind of sweated it, but didn't feel like we could say, oh, we're not going to split it evenly. We did. But I remember thinking at the time, I was really angry that I felt like, oh, they don't have any idea that we want to support them and go where they want to go. But we had no idea how expensive it would be and kind of like, how dare they? And that was so insensitive. And it was really out of proportion. And the thing is that honestly, it was our stuff. It was our own anxiety about being able to afford the dinner. It was our own frustration with not loving the jobs we were in and not really seeing how we could find something we liked better in that moment. And of course we did. But it's easy to displace our own feelings of stress or worry or envy. And I'll discuss more about that in a minute onto other people as if they are somehow generating the feeling, when it's really the feelings are ours and have nothing to do with them. I want to do a quick side note here about the difference between envy and jealousy, because I hear people use those two terms interchangeably all of the time, and they're actually not quite the same. So we can be envious or desirous of, or feel bad about ourselves not having something someone else has. Again, it could be an object, an achievement, a position in life, a state of happiness that we feel we don't have and we would like, but it generates in us a feeling of a little bit of hating on and lack. That's envy. Jealousy is kind of a feeling like that, but it's about another person. So we see our ex with their new partner and we still have feelings for the ex, and we're jealous of the fact that they are now interested in somebody else. Or we have a group of friends and we find out that our best friend is spending more time with other people than with us, and we feel kind of jealous of the attention and time that they're investing in other people, and we feel like we're not getting enough. Okay, so envy, jealousy, that's the side note. But let's just say you're the person and you are happy about something. Again, maybe it's your relationship, your job, something you achieved, an athletic thing. Maybe it's just your general state of happiness. You bought a home, whatever it is. And you find that you have a friend who can't be happy for you about that thing. And maybe that's unusual for them. Or maybe you realize that in your circle of friends, there are some people who just generally can't be happy for other people. And almost all of us know somebody like that, right? Where we never hear them say, oh, I'm happy for that person. And it's always about all the things that might be not that great about what makes them happy. And some people are just like that. And it makes it really hard to share all of yourself with people who just can't be happy for you, right? And actually, they're not always the same people, but some people feed on your unhappiness. So they can be a quote good friend for you when things are going badly for you or you're struggling in some way. It puts them in the position of being caring, but also kind of one up a little bit, right? So what I would say is if you're in that situation and you're feeling sad that someone can't be happy for your marriage, your baby, your job, your creation, or just your general state of happiness, the first thing I would say is number one, breathe, right? Because anytime we feel overwhelmed by a lot of emotions like, sadness or betrayal or disappointment or unpleasant surprise, it can be easy to go down this kind of runaway train ride to feeling worse and worse and worse and worrying about, oh, is it me? Did I say something? What's going on? And we can expend a lot of mental and emotional energy. And sometimes, honestly, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, sometimes it's worth kind of touching base, but sometimes it's worth just kind of saying, again, their feelings are their feelings and my feelings are my feelings. And it's okay that I have feelings about this response, but without drowning in the feelings about it. Number two, I would say, remember most people's reactions and feelings to a large extent, and sometimes to a completely whole extent, are about what's going on for them, right? We are all the heroes of our own journey. We all can feel impacted personally by stuff that has nothing to do with us. So we do that, right? But other people can feel like that as well. So if that response stems from a feeling of lack on their part, it's okay. It's their feeling. Very rarely we will find somebody who is just sadistic, right? And they like hating on people. It feels good. It's just the way they are. They love hating on other people. It feels great to discharge energy by saying nasty stuff again and again and again. Not that everybody hasn't done that at some point, but you know who I'm talking about, right? You know, the kind of people who just like the only news they ever have is about someone else, you know, and it's negative, right? Um, Number three, I would say set limits, find limits that you can set around things that are um, good for you, but somebody else might have to rain on your parade. And what I mean by that is don't try to quench your thirst drinking from a poison well or dry well, right? So if you continually look to people to support you who just can't do it for whatever reason, you will just suffer unnecessarily, right? It could be your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your boss, your colleague, your best friend, your partner. It could be anyone who maybe just can't be happy for you. Maybe they can't be happy around this particular type of thing for you. And maybe they can't be happy in general for you. But what I would say is if you keep looking to them to be happy for you and your happiness hinges on that, you will be perennially unhappy. You will just suffer. And even if you have one or two people in your life who can be happy for and supportive of you, that's still pretty good. Um, Relatedly, number four, and the last thing I'll say about this when someone's hating on you and raining on your parade is embrace your success or your joy. It's perfectly legitimate and important for you to be your own best friend, right? Sometimes we will be our main or our only cheerleader. And that's really important, right? Because, we've all probably had times where we were in an environment that felt toxic, whether it was our family or a job or a class or whatever, where we just felt like, this place is like so toxic, or everybody's unhappy, or nobody says anything nice about anybody, right? There will be times in your life when you will really need to be your own cheerleader and really just acknowledge how hard you've worked, or how grateful you are for something good that's happening to you or happened to you, or even just you're feeling good in the moment. And that's, again, not only okay, but it's important. It's very adaptive. Okay. And a kind of a number five in there is it's worth bringing things up to people and mentioning something if it's a good friendship, or you feel you really need to. Sometimes people will be like, you know what, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize I was being that way. I didn't mean to be hurtful. It's just, I've been feeling bad about XYZ. But other times people will tell you, it's you and you're too needy, or full of yourself with whatever your accomplishment is, whatever it is. And what I would say again is that tells you this is a dry well. You don't quench your thirst in a dry well. Dig your own well. Okay. So what if that person is you, and you're somebody who either in a particular circumstance or with a particular person, you feel like you just can't be happy for them, or it's too easy to find joy in kind of cutting them down? Or what if you're like that in general? I mean, I'm thinking about different people, and we've all known them, right? Who just no matter what, like I'm thinking of people I know who are talented and, otherwise decent people in a number of ways, but I can't think of too many times when I've ever heard them say something nice about someone else, even when it wasn't, objectively that someone else's happiness threatened theirs, right? But they're just wired for that. They get a little charge out of being kind of mean. Um, you know, so if that person is you, I know it's hard, but if you're listening to this podcast and you're still tuning in, I think there's a part of you that says, I kind of know that it's not the best way to be. So if the person is you, take a little time and practice a little self-compassion and just create a little safe space for yourself. Meditate, that always helps set the stage. But just ask yourself, why that might be. If it's a specific person that always triggers you, or a specific incident or a type of thing that triggers you to just be kind of mean or cut somebody else's success down, um, ask yourself, what is it that feels good about that to you, right? Does it feel like you're just discharging excess energy? Um, does it feel like your own feelings of maybe insecurity or lack, um, when they rise up within you, it feels like too much to hold? It's much easier, again, to displace, and that's a psychological term, displacement, to displace the feeling you would have about yourself, the feeling of lack, the feeling of insecurity, the feeling of worry, or the feeling of unworthiness, and kind of throw it like a hot potato at somebody else. So relatedly, number 2 is just note what you feel and write it down. The other thing I think that's really important to notice is that your subconscious mind often won't communicate to you in a very linear, logical, well, clearly I have a feeling of lack around XYZ. Sometimes it will, but sometimes what you'll notice is not feeling sure about why a person is really triggering for you or a situation's triggering for you, but that a memory comes up. Now, our memories can be memories of things that have happened to us, or it can be things that are emblematic of something larger, right? So something that was in its um, own right, an event from your past, or even just something that's a memory of something that's more global. It could be even like a public figure, and their situation just pops in your mind like a flash. A lot of times our subconscious mind will give us the whole overall picture of something really quickly in an image, a memory, and it becomes symbolic of something larger, right? Um, Pay attention to that, write it down. You don't have to know what it means um, right away. And again, because our subconscious minds can often be very symbolic in the way they communicate with us, there might be a song that pops into your head. That might be the way your subconscious is presenting material to you that might initially feel kind of overwhelming, right? So it requires you to do a little kind of deciphering or a little kind of sitting with before it becomes clearer and clearer what the issue is. Um, Note it, write it down. Think of those memories or songs or flashes as your subconscious shorthand, right? But there's often gold buried within those little images. The other thing is, notice how you feel in the moment as you're hating on somebody, and it can actually feel kind of good, right? Especially if you're hating on somebody and you're with a friend who's also joining in. It's like, oh yeah, that person's really, they stink, or or their stuff is crap, or whatever it is. um Notice how you feel in the moment. Does it feel like a guilty pleasure? Okay, we're human. um and notice how you feel later on. Sometimes what feels okay in the moment will induce some guilt later on. We might feel bad about it, or we might have other feelings that come up, like feelings of sadness about something for us, and so forth. Just notice. But again, the feeling that you have in the moment may not be the feeling you have 5 minutes later, an hour later, a week later, and so forth. Um, Number 4, here's a spiritual way of sitting with this. I mean, again, this isn't designed to make you feel bad about yourself. I actually don't feel like that's tremendously helpful. A little bit of guilt actually can be adaptive, but overwhelming guilt and feeling really awful about ourselves and beating ourselves up, actually, what it might do is just generate enough anxiety to make you do the thing you want to stop doing. And you might do it even more so, right? Just to get away from those unpleasant feelings, if that's how you do it. But the spiritual perspective is, remember that we're all connected, right? There's no other human being on the planet that doesn't share something in common with us, some tiny bit of wiring, right? Most people are capable of loving someone else. Most people want to be loved. Most people have at least at some point wanted others' approval. We're all flawed. Our ability to sit with other people's flaws and challenges actually has a really wonderful kind of boomerang effect of helping us to feel better and sit with um, our own flaws, because we see the common humanity that unites us, right? The person we can't stand for this, that, or the other reason, chances are there's a little something of that inside of ourselves that bothers us. And remembering that common humanity and that we're all connected can make us think twice about just being mean for the sake of it. It's true, right? Because every person that we encounter was a baby at some point, or a toddler, or a 5-year-old just wanting to be loved and approved of, right? And let me remind you that maybe I'll tie this in with number 5, but we don't have to be excited about someone else's partner or someone else's job or promotion or someone else's new house or someone else's kid to be happy for their happiness, right? Someone writes a book and it's not your cup of tea. Can you still be happy for them for doing something that other people might benefit from? Yeah, you can, if you allow yourself to be happy for them. Someone else is wildly happy in a relationship and it seems like they're being treated pretty well, even if the person isn't your cup of tea. Can you be happy for them? Yeah, I hope so. Someone else gets a new place and you're like, wow, this is really hideous. I can't believe they like this architectural style. Yes, you can still be happy for their happiness without having it be something you would choose for yourself, right? Again, thinking of our common humanity. I'm going to call this 5B because I misnumbered my numbers on my little list here. But what could you learn from someone else's, I'm going to call it success in the broadest sense, right? So their happiness, it could just be their disposition that they tend to be happy. And that might drive you crazy, but especially if you're not in a great place yourself right now. But what could you learn from someone else's success? Again, even if that's not exactly how you want your success to look, right? Well, could it be that someone was really disciplined and went after something and got it? Or that someone is really good with handling people at work. And even if you don't think they're as talented as maybe you think you are, and that might even be true, but can you be happy for the fact that they, have a sunny disposition or that people generally respond well to them, relate well to them? Someone else's child did XYZ at school and, maybe you're hoping that your child can also be similarly happy at school. And you can say, I can imagine the joy this person would feel about someone they love doing well. And you can find a way maybe to be happy for them, right? But what could you learn about that? Because I'm going to let you in on a secret. Some of the happiest people out there actually don't have all that much in terms of material possessions or unending streams of success or the world's greatest relationship, or maybe they're not even in one right now. to some extent, some people really just can find peace and joy and contentment in the now and everyday moments. And actually, that is something, rather than envying it, we can all learn from, truly. Right. And by being happy for someone else, again, it is amazing how much that just kind of comes back to us. Um, let's see. And if you can even imagine what it would be like to feel happy for someone else, right? You could just imagine, you could just pretend, have a little imaginal journey, go into your sacred mental space and imagine being happy for someone and feeling the feelings, what it would feel like in your mind, in your body, the things you might say, the look on their face as you are supportive, and how it might feel to bring someone else joy because they feel loved or understood or appreciated or valued in some way because of your ability to be happy for them, just because you're happy for them. And pay attention to how that feels. The things we rehearse in our minds, our brains and our bodies tend to respond to as truth, right? So as you imagine being happy for someone or feeling content, or as if we were talking about earlier, being happy for you, it's amazing how our minds and bodies can become conditioned to feeling a lot better just from doing something simple as that. So anyway, I'm curious about what you think about this again. So how let's see how it feels to go forward this week and not let the haters get to you as much. And if you've been doing a little extra hating on, just to give yourself permission to kind of let that stuff go. I hope this has been helpful. And I wish you all the very best now and always, as you know. And if you like this episode of Unpacking Possibility with me, Traci Stein, you can definitely let me know by liking, sharing, giving me a follow, and leaving me a comment. And until next time, be well.